Good morning, students. Okay, so before the break, we have studied how a current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, experiences some force. So any current carrying conductor, or you may say any current carrying wire, when it is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. One activity also we have studied, which is given in your book, which is activity 13.7. So an aluminium rod, okay, which is conductor, is suspended by two wires, and the current is passed through that wire, through the wire, so that some current passes through the aluminium rod. Then it is placed in a perpendicular magnetic field. So we see that the aluminium rod gets deflected. Why it gets deflected? Because it experiences a force. So any current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Okay, and this force, we have also discussed that on what factors does it depend. It depends upon the current. More the current in the wire or in the conductor, more force it will experience. Okay, the second is the length of the conductor. More the length of the conductor, more will be the force on that conductor. Okay, and also it depends upon the strength of the magnetic field. Okay, so if the magnetic field is made stronger, if the strength of the magnetic field is increased, then the force also increases. So force is directly proportional to the current, directly proportional to the length of the conductor, and also directly proportional to the magnetic field. Okay, then the direction of this force is given by a particular rule which was given by Fleming and is called as the Fleming's left hand rule. Why? Because the left hand is used to determine the direction of the force. Okay, so from the left hand, if we stretch the thumb, the first finger or the forefinger, the middle finger or the center finger, mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, all three fingers of the left hand are stretched mutually perpendicular to each other, such that the first finger is pointing along the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, this first finger is pointing along the direction of the magnetic field. The center finger or the middle finger along the direction of the current. Then the force experienced by the conductor will be given by thumb, will be given by the direction of the thumb. Okay, and this force is maximum when the current carrying conductor and the magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so when the current carrying conductor and the magnetic field are perpendicular to each other, the force experienced will be maximum. Okay, and this force will be equal to I into L into B. Okay, because it's directly proportional to all these three factors. So this rule is called as the Fleming's left hand rule, which gives the direction of the force on a current carrying conductor which is placed in the magnetic field. Okay, so this topic we have completed. Now there are few questions. Let's discuss those questions. Okay, few solved questions. One solved question is there. Page number 231. Example 13.2. Page 231. Example 13.2. Okay, the question is, an electron enters a magnetic field at right angles to it as shown in figure 13.14. The direction of the force acting on the electron will be, there are four options given, to the right, to the left, out of the page, into the page. Okay, so let's draw the figure. Magnetic field is along this direction. This is the direction of the magnetic field, and the electron is moving in the downward direction. And here we have to find out the direction of the force. Okay, so electron is moving downwards. We know that the conventional direction of the current is opposite to the flow of the electrons. So the conventional direction of current, the current flowing will be opposite to the flow of the electrons. So the current flowing will be in the upward direction. So this is the magnetic field towards right. Current will be taken in the upward direction opposite to the flow of electrons. Now here we have to find out the direction of the force. So the direction of the electron or the direction of the conventional current is opposite to the flow of electrons. Okay, so the current flowing is in the upward direction. Now use the Fleming's left hand rule to find out the direction of the force. Okay, I should be in the, use your left hand and stretch the thumb, the first finger and the center finger mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, now point the center finger along the direction of the current. Magnetic field, okay, towards right. Okay, so this is the direction of the magnetic field, you can see, and this is the direction of the current. Okay, so the thumb is going perpendicular to the plane of the paper inwards. The thumb, it is pointing perpendicular to the plane of the paper inwards, and this thumb gives the direction of the force. So what is the direction of the force? The direction of the force is perpendicular to the plane of the board inwards. Okay, so it will be perpendicular inwards. Now let's read the options. To the right, no, to the right is the magnetic field. It is not correct. To the left, no, it is not correct. Out of the page, no, it's not out of the page. It is not here. The thumb is going perpendicular inwards into the page. So which option is correct? The D option is correct, which is into the page or into the plane of the board. Okay. So by using Fleming's left hand rule, we can find out the direction of the force whenever a current carrying wire is placed in a magnetic field. So this is the current carrying wire placed in a magnetic field. Okay, then there are few unsolved questions on page number 231. This same page, 231. Question number 1. Which of the following property of a proton can change while it moves freely in a magnetic field? There may be more than one correct answer. The options are mass, speed, velocity, momentum. Okay, any charged particle when it enters into the magnetic field, its speed remains the same. Okay, only the path of the charged particle changes. Okay, if it is entering perpendicular to the magnetic field, it will describe a circular path. So what changes? The path of the particle changes. Okay, that is the direction of the path changes. The speed doesn't change. Okay, it keep on moving with the same speed. Only what is it? Suppose it's moving with 20 meter per second. When it enters, it keeps on moving with 20 meter per second only. But its path is changing. Okay, so the vector quantities will change. What are the vector quantities? Velocity will change because velocity is speed with the direction. Okay, speed is not changing, but the direction will change. So what will change? Velocity will change. Also momentum. Momentum is a vector quantity, and we know that momentum is equal to mass into velocity vector. As the velocity is changing, so the momentum also changes. So the vector quantities will change, okay, in which the direction is changing. Okay, but the scalar quantities will not change. So here the options given are the first one, A, mass. Okay, here it is asked that which of the following property can change. Okay, so which of the part? Mass doesn't change. Okay, we know about the conservation of mass. Mass never changes. B part is speed. It doesn't change. C is velocity and D is momentum. As these two are vector quantities, so C and D, that is the velocity and momentum changes, whereas the mass and the speed remains the same. Okay, why? Because it will change its path. It will change its direction as it enters the magnetic field. Any charged particle, when it enters the magnetic field, it changes its path. Okay, suppose it enters perpendicular to the magnetic field, it will describe a circular path. Now, in case of a circular path, it will keep on moving with a constant speed, but the direction of the motion is changing. So, the velocity changes and the momentum is mass into velocity. So the momentum also changes. So what changes? C and D part, that is velocity and momentum changes. Now the next question given on the next page is in activity 13.7, how do we think the displacement of the rod AB will be affected when the current in the rod is increased, a stronger horseshoe magnet is used, and the length of the rod AB is increased? Okay, so question number 2. How is the displacement of the rod? The same activity 13.7 which we have studied, in which an aluminium wire is there, aluminium rod is there. Current is passed through that aluminium rod and it is placed in perpendicular magnetic field. So this aluminium rod or the aluminium wire gets displaced. Okay, how is the displacement affected? Displacement affected means how is the force on it is affected. So how does the force gets affected? Three quantities are given. The first one is current is increased. We have already studied that the force is directly proportional to the current. If the current is increased, the force also increases. So the force increases. The B part is a stronger horseshoe magnet is used. A stronger horseshoe magnet means stronger is the magnetic field, and we have already studied that this force is also directly proportional to the strength of the magnetic field. If the strength of the magnetic field is increased, the force also increases, so the displacement in the rod will be more. The third is the length of the rod is increased. Length of the rod is increased. Force is also directly proportional to the length of the rod. More the length of the rod, more it will be displaced, that is more force it will experience. So in all the three cases, the force increases when the current is increased, when the magnetic field is increased, and when the length of the rod is increased. In all the three cases, the force increases, that is the displacement in the rod increases. So in all three cases, the displacement or the force increases. In all three cases, the force increases. Why? Because the force is directly proportional to the current, to the magnetic field, and to the length of the rod. Okay, then question number 3 is a positively charged alpha particle is projected towards west and is deflected towards north by a magnetic field, the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, try to do it yourself. A very good question. Question number 3, I will draw the figure and I will give you 2 minutes to think. Use your left hand, Fleming's left hand rule, and find out a positively charged alpha particle. Alpha particle is positively charged, is projected towards west. Is projected towards west. Alpha particle is a positive charge particle, so the conventional direction of the current can be considered over along the motion of the alpha charge particle. So the conventional direction of the current is towards west. Is deflected towards north. Okay, and it is deflected towards north. Okay, now let us say that this is north, south, this is east, this is west. Okay, let us consider this convention. Okay, or you can consider this way also. North is outwards, south is inwards. Okay, but here for this question we'll consider this way. Okay, these are the sign conventions. Okay, now here you have to find out is deflected towards north. So the force is deflected means the force will be experienced. So the force is experienced towards north. Now here you have to find out the direction of the magnetic field. Find out the direction of the magnetic field. Use the Fleming's left hand rule. Use Fleming's left hand rule and try to find out the direction. The current using your left hand. Stretch the first 3 fingers mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, and keep it in mind that you have to use your left hand only. If you use your right hand, the direction will be in the opposite direction. The direction what you get will be in the opposite direction. Okay, so use your left hand, force the direction of the force by the thumb, the direction of the current by the middle finger, and see in which direction is the first finger pointing, which is giving the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, so let's see here the direction of the current. This is the direction of the current. This is the direction of the force, and you see here the first finger is pointing perpendicular outwards. Okay, it is pointing perpendicular outwards. So the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the board outwards. Okay, or perpendicular to the plane of the board, perpendicular to the plane of the paper upwards. Okay, so it is in the perpendicular to the plane of the paper upwards. Okay, so when you are keeping your paper, okay, when you are drawing on your paper, you are keeping the paper on the table. So this will be horizontal. What is this? This is vertical. Okay, when you draw it like this is horizontal. Okay, then in that case, this is the direction of the force. So you can write down it is upwards, okay, or perpendicular to the plane of the paper outwards. This can be written. Now the four options given here are towards south, no, towards east, no, downwards, no, it will be in the upward direction. Okay, so it will be in the upward direction. This is the force, this is in the upward direction. Okay, so the direction of the magnetic field is in the upward direction. Okay, next there are two devices in this chapter, electric motor and electric generator. Okay, this will be discussing later on. One of the device has been deleted from the CBSE for this year only. Okay, and these devices, the electric generator and the electric motor, you don't have to study in detail. In higher classes, you will study about its construction working. Okay, so here we'll discuss in brief. Okay, but after the topic electromagnetic induction. Okay, so the next topic which will start is electromagnetic induction. Okay, this electric motor, it is based on the same rule which we have studied, Fleming's left-hand rule. We'll discuss it later. Okay, so page 233, electromagnetic induction. Okay, till now we have studied that any current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Any current carrying wire, when it is placed in perpendicular magnetic field, it experiences a force. Okay, now the reverse is also true. That is, if there is a motion of a magnet in a coil, then the current can also be produced. Okay, so the current, due to the current, there is some magnetic field. We have already studied. Okay, now due to the moving magnetic field, some current can be produced. Such a current which is produced, we call it as induced current. Okay, some current is induced in that conductor. So we call it as induced current, and this phenomenon is called as electromagnetic induction. So whenever there is a motion of a magnet in a coil, okay, around a coil, there is some magnetic field changing around the coil, then the current can be produced in that coil, okay, in that wire. So this phenomenon we call it as electromagnetic induction. So now we'll study the reverse of whatever we have studied till now. Till now we have studied that due to the current carrying wire, there is some magnetic field, some magnetic field is produced. Now we'll study the reverse. Due to the change in the magnetic field, some current will be produced in that coil, okay, in that conductor. This we call it as electromagnetic induction. First we'll study the activity which is given over here. Activity number 13.8. Take a coil of wire AB having a large number of turns. Connect the ends of the coil to a galvanometer as shown in figure 13.16. Okay, let's draw the figure. electromagnetic induction. So we take a cylindrical board over which a wire is wounded in this form. So this we call it as a coil. Okay, it's a wire only wounded over a cylinder. Now this becomes a coil. This we call it as a coil. So here it is a coil AB. Okay, on a hollow cylindrical board, a wire is wounded like this, which we'll call it as a coil. And this coil is connected to a galvanometer. We know that the electric symbol for the galvanometer is a circle in which G is written. Okay, and the pointer of the galvanometer rests at center. Okay, that is no current is flowing. But when the current will flow through this wire, when the current will be produced in this wire, okay, will produce it. So what happens? This needle or the pointer of the galvanometer will be deflected towards right or towards left. Okay. So whenever the pointer of the galvanometer is deflected, we say that the current is flowing. So what is a galvanometer? It is a device which is used to detect electric current in a circuit. So with the help of a galvanometer, we can detect whether the current is flowing in the circuit or not. Okay, now, right now, the pointer will be at the center. At the center, 0 will be written. So the pointer will be at the center. That is, no current is flowing, no current is produced in this AB coil. Okay, in this AB wire. Okay, now what is done? A strong magnet is taken. Let's read it. Take a strong bar magnet and move its north pole towards the end B of the coil. Do you find any change in the galvanometer needle? There is a momentary deflection in the needle of the galvanometer, say towards the right. This indicates the presence of the current in the coil AB. The deflection becomes 0 when the moment the motion of the magnet stops. Now withdraw the north pole away from the coil. Now the galvanometer will be deflected towards left, showing that the current is now set up in the direction opposite to the first one, to the first case. Now place the magnet stationary at a point near to the coil, keeping its north pole towards the end of the coil B. We see that the galvanometer deflects towards right when the coil is moved towards the north pole of the magnet. Similarly, the needle will move towards the left when the coil is moved away. Okay, when the coil is kept stationary with respect to the magnet, the deflection in the galvanometer drops to 0. So what do you conclude from this activity? Okay, first let's discuss this activity. Now a strong bar magnet is taken such that the north pole is pointing towards the end B. Okay, it is rolled on this wire is rolled on a hollow cylinder. So this magnet can be moved inside the cylindrical hole. Now the north pole of the bar magnet is moved inside the cylindrical hole. Okay, what is observed? The galvanometer pointer will show some deflection. Suppose it shows a deflection towards right. Okay, as you move the north pole of the bar magnet inside the coil, what happens? Let the galvanometer pointer, the galvanometer needle is pointing towards right. And whenever the galvanometer needle deflects, whenever the galvanometer shows a deflection, it means the current is produced. So what do you conclude? That some current is produced in the coil. That some current is produced in this wire, which is wound in the form of a cylinder, which we call it as a coil. So some current is produced in this coil. Okay, now when the north pole is we are brought inside. Now when the north pole is moved outwards, again you see that the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection. Okay, as you are moving out, the galvanometer needle will show a momentary deflection. Now this time it will be in the reverse direction. Suppose in the first case it was towards right. Now the galvanometer needle will show a deflection towards left. Okay. Now move the south pole inside. and the south pole outwards, again the deflection in the galvanometer will be in the reverse direction. Okay, when you are moving the north pole inside, take the galvanometer pointer is deflected towards right. When the south pole is moved inwards, now the galvanometer deflection will be towards left. Okay, now keep the magnet stationary near the point. You will see that the pointer of the galvanometer will rest at 0. That is, there is no deflection in the galvanometer. So what do you conclude from this activity? Whenever the magnet is moved in or out of the coil, then only the current is produced in the coil, which can be detected by the deflection in the galvanometer. So, whenever the magnet is moved in or out of the coil, some current is produced in the coil, okay, and this current is induced in the coil, is produced in the coil due to the motion of the magnet. So, such a current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon is called as electromagnetic induction. So, due to the motion of the magnet in or out of the coil, the current is produced in the coil. This current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon we call it as the electromagnetic induction. Okay, now we'll continue on the next turn, that is tomorrow. So keep revising. I'll give the questions based on this topic tomorrow. Thank you.